This is TWiT.
I wanted to first start with the speaker selection.
Yeah.
Which, because it's a relatively small room, we went with what are for Grimani Systems, relatively small speakers, the Rixos system.
Right.
Which come in several sizes.
Yeah.
There's an XL and an L, and we chose the S, the small, because it's a small room. In fact, here is the speaker that we used for the front, right, and left. Correct.
So we make a range of speakers that all have the same basic quality, and actually they have such a good matching quality that you could use an S, which is this one for small, on the left, together with an L, which is a large on the right, as a stereo pair, and they would produce a perfectly good stereo image, which is kind of odd. They're different speakers, different drivers, but we match them all in their design and engineering to where they're completely complementary. I'll explain later why we do that. It's not just an exercise in futility. There's a good reason for doing that. So then you say, well, what speaker do you need? Well, you need enough to drive the horsepower in terms of sound pressure level you need for your room. So in your room, you're sitting so many feet or meters away from the speaker, and the space is this many cubic feet or cubic meters of volume. And we know, back to the standards where I was saying, the speakers should be here. Well, we also know that the peak sound level you need to achieve in the case of a movie soundtrack is 105 dB. That's like the loudest peaks in any of the three front channels. And so we match that requirement with what your room is, what the acoustics are, how far the speakers are. And we go, given all of that, you need that much horsepower. I guess it would be the equivalent in a car of figuring out how fast you want to go and how big of an engine you need given somewhat the weight, but also the CX of the car, how well it cuts through air. So it's an audio equivalent of that for cars. A lot of people understand cars much more than they understand electroacoustics. Besides, I like cars. So
indeed, so do I.
So we figured out, given how far you are from the speaker, how loud you want to listen, and actually gave you quite a bit of headroom over that you would be fine with the small size speaker. And in the case of our company, we actually have three different form factors for the small. We have one that's like this one, that, and then one that's a little smaller this way and deeper that way. For you, we chose what's called the Rixos-SNR, small, narrow, recessed.
Right. Which, if we look at the picture one more time, we'll see this is taller, but less deep.
Correct.
And it looks like to me like it's got a compression tweeter in a waveguide.
It's actually not a compression tweeter. It's a very high quality European-made dome tweeter, silk dome tweeter. That's mounted into a waveguide, and that's kind of unusual. Usually, horns and waveguides have compression drivers in them, and no, we're not doing that here. We don't need, in the case of these speakers, we don't need the sound pressure level capability that a compression driver gives you. Instead, this particular one, it's made by Audax, has enough sensitivity, and when it's loaded in that waveguide, which gives it a little bit more headroom, actually quite a bit more headroom in its low frequency region, around 2 kilohertz, it produces plenty of sound pressure level. And I think I demonstrated that to you when it all got calibrated. I went like, well, let's turn this up to 11. You're like, okay. And I think your wife came running down from the other side of the house going, you're not going to play it like that all the time, right? No.
No, she did do that. I remember that very well. I'm not a fan of really loud soundtracks. I know plenty of people who listen at what's called reference level. Right. And it's just too loud for me. It's just painful. So I'm never going to listen at that level. So again, what you provided is just fine.
Hey, it's Leo Laporte. I hope you've enjoyed this little clip from our programming at twit.tv. For more, visit our website, twit.tv, or subscribe in your favorite podcast client. There's also a link somewhere down there.